welcome to Dishin Days, where we are serving up a full dish of not this week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. We are doing something a little bit different for you today. We will have a wonderful sit-down conversation with two of your favorite people, Miss Marci Miller and Billy Flynn.
Yes.
I am your host, Tony Moore, and I'm joined by my gaggle of gals. We have,
Hey guys, Justin Hareld here.
and of course,
Hi, everybody. It's Araceli. Nice to see you.
hey, I know you guys were expecting a recap of this week, but we figured that you really wanted us to sit down and talk with Marcy and Billy, so we brought that for you guys. But as always, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and underscore Dishin Days on the Twitter. The at is currently at the hospital trying to resuscitate Abigail.
And Michael Mattis will be back next week.
Yes, and Michael Mattis will be returning next week. He is busy doing things and being Michael Mattis. But without further ado, let's bring in our special guests for today. We have Miss Marcy Miller and Mr. Billy Flynn. Hey y'all.
Hey.
Hi.
Marcy, it is always lovely to see you. Always. And Billy.
That.
Well, first of all, this week has been very emotional for all of us. And before we get into like breaking it down and everything, I have to give you both kudos for your work. As always, like there was so many like emotional scenes and so much going on that like you guys really did a great job. Like I don't cry often, but I felt a little teary eyed this week. Like I just felt for seeing Abigail laying on the bed, seeing Chad like go through his emotions. It was really really tough. So how did you guys feel about realizing that Abigail was going to be murdered?
I mean, yeah, it was certainly heavy, yeah, and emotional, and it came unexpectedly, I suppose. I received a phone call prior, of course, but leading up to it, I knew the brevity of what was going to take place, and so you're on one hand sort of honored to be the one to lay someone like that to rest, and on the other hand, really. Really sad. It's the end of a lot of things. It was the end of my time working with Billy, first and foremost, for the time, and the end of Chabby for a time, and the end of my working at a place that I enjoy for a time. So, yeah, there was certainly some heaviness that I was feeling.
Yeah, Billy, how about you? How did you feel?
Yeah, I got a phone call. Probably. I don't know if it was the same day or the day after. Probably Marcy got it, and obviously her and I talk, and we're I had an idea of what she was thinking. So, I was kind of shocked, but however, on the flip side, I wasn't. It's not to be disappointed because I feel like I didn't want to see them just kind of torture the two characters as they had kind of been doing. I mean, it had been such a, with the multiple, with the DID and bears and all of this like weird stuff. I think for me, I don't know. For me, it was kind of the most humane thing to do with the characters. Other characters.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's always a hard decision when when you decide to kill off like a legacy character like Abigail. I think as fans, we felt the same way when they killed off Will, and like the emotions behind that and everything like that. And of course, as fans, we think, well, is there any other thing that they could have done to preserve the character or preserve the couple, and instead of resorting to death? But I think also as fans, we have to just kind of embrace the decision and know that it's the right one. And that, it's soaps. Like,
yeah,
who knows what could happen in a few years, what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly think like and the Will thing was tough because he was like one of the he's like the founding gay member of the show, so that was like that was sort of a big thing, and I think it's different with Abigail, but I don't know, it's just it was such an odd thing because on one side, we hadn't really we hadn't really had a whole lot of story the last couple of years. When we did, it was sort of a part of somebody else's bigger like storyline, or like I said, it almost kind of felt like this couple of are just kind of almost being like tortured in a weird way. And it was very very few moments, and so for me, like as an actor, I was like, all right, well, if it's not going to be with Marci, then at least I'm going to have something to do. I'll sort of have an objective, and even that, I wish there were things that like surprised me, like the baby stuff. I didn't expect that they were going to do that.
Oh yeah.
Have her stabbed in the stomach. Like there were certain things where you're like, even in postmortem, they're like sort of torturing us a little bit, which adds to the stuff. I mean, and ultimately, like I'll be honest with you, during this period of time, as important as all this was, there was like I was about to have a baby.
Yeah.
Like we shot the morgue scenes the day before I was going on break. To have the baby, and then we shot all of the house stuff with the scenes with Kate and stuff that played. I think
right after, this week.
Yeah, right after. The day I got back, because we only have the 2-week hiatus the show has, and then I came back. So it was my head wasn't. I was hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
I'll say that you played it well, and now knowing how you had to go from like a really terrible low to like a real life high, and then a really terrible low again. That's a lot very taxing on your body. So I will tell you, it played very well.
But I will say the thing that saved it, because again, like I think Chad and Abigail years ago, they had so much story to play off of. When me and Marci would do scenes, we had all this life to play. Well, the last couple of years, we hadn't really had that. So really, the thing that pushed me through was my memory of of how much, the Chabby when they were, at their peak or whatever, and really just my love for Marci and like missing her was kind of what really disappointed me in that whole storyline. Not disappointed me, but made me the most sad. Like the characters, it's not our show. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. Whatever with their characters, however they want. But
it was still very like just heartbreaking, because I mean, thanks to fans, a lot of people were speculating for like all this time that Abigail was going to be murdered, and I would see it and I'd be like, "There's no way that they're not gonna murder Abigail. Abigail, like they're not gonna like kill her off." And then I remember getting the preview for the following week, because we always get it like on a Wednesday, and I can't help myself. I'm nosy. Like I watched it. And I saw the title, it just said Abigail. And I was like, huh? And then I saw it and I was like, oh no. And then of course I text Marci and I was like, oh my God, not Abigail. but it was so emotional to see, and it's that question of like, what happened, and now it's spinning off this whole like who done it, sort of scenario. But I did want to know, like, from you, Marci, how was it filming the dead body scene in the hospital, as like, Billy has to come in and be like very emotional and have that moment, and you just simply have to lay there. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, those scenes when you're like in the hospital bed and whatnot, they can be a variety of things. I've had moments where it's like hard to not get tickled, because it's like, okay, I'm just like lying here and this person's going through all these heavy things, whatever. This particular set of scenes, I did not feel that way. Both Billy and Katie McLean were pretty heavy for me, because as a wife and as a mother, you put yourself in that situation, and it's just like it's gut wrenching, like gut wrenching that she's leaving the kids. It's gut wrenching that, you know, this is no more. And so I was actually having to fight some emotion, and it's partially because of my care of my fellow actors and the people that are doing it too. Yeah, the really the whole exit was you know, a chatty Kathy over here. The whole all of those scenes were emotional for me, and I was having to kind of like turn my brain and my heart off a little bit as I was listening to it, because you know, you're the logistics of like being the dead body and not crying and wiggling and breathing too heavily or anything like that. So yeah, it was all just sad. I mean, sad.
Well, she agrees with you. It was
Yeah.
I'm curious
I know
about
we're
this.
sad. See, Mommy.
She either agrees with me or is like, yeah, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, you know that's not.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah.
about the scenes in the bedroom. How does like the directors and producers, how do they keep the tone on set? Is it like somber to keep you in the moment, or is it the opposite where it's kind of fun and you kind of like to get you out of that funk? Or
I mean, I mean, listen, I have such a great relationship. I mean, the crew's so great, and they're not doing what we're doing. So oftentimes, like, you know, they're you know, talking. They've got their own jobs going on.
Yeah.
It's a factory. Everybody's doing their own part.
Mhm.
However, during those heavy scenes, over the years I've found that it's like I'll have a conversation with them. Listen, guys, for these two scenes, you know, just give me a hand because I'm really struggling to try to, you know, I'm nervous and I'm a little bit embarrassed about how, you know, I don't know how this is going to go. And they're phenomenal about that. And I've just learned that over the years. I never used to be able to, I used to do, you know, used to be a lot harder, but they're great and listen. So yeah, we keep it a little bit more. And then after, you know, then, you know, usually I'll be the first one to make a wisecrack.
Yeah.
And we can move on.
Break the tension.
Bring it back up.
Yeah.
Billy, how, you know, this is now the second, and we're told kind of plays to be final death of Abigail. The first time that this played, it was actually to bring Marci in to the storyline. Now Marci is sadly has exited the show when we have to say goodbye to Abigail, but this is now the second time that you're having to play this scenario. How does this finality differ from that in the storyline?
I mean, this one, you know, Marci and I've had, you know, it's just different. I mean, the first one, the circumstances, you know, I think with it being like murdered as opposed to the first one, she got in a plane crash or disappeared, kind of unknown. And, you know, I thought, sorry, just trying to figure out how I want to word it. Yeah, I think that, you know, they both played out differently. This one's a little bit more like there's so many other plot points that are happening, and that's kind of the focus. So it can be, I think with this one, there's just, you're more involved with, I'm more involved with furthering other people's story like plots as well, which makes it kind of difficult. You know, like you go in and you know, as the story unfolds, like you'll see kind of what I'm talking about, but it can make it kind of very confusing with as an actor. There's no, and the only thing that I could say to it that works is like, who fucking knows how you'd be grieving if this actually happened. So like, I just kind of took each week. It felt like a different character every week. And you know, for all intents and purposes, maybe it is, you know, when you're going through that kind of stuff. So I just thought the first one was a little bit more like tailored to Chad and his story of trying to find Abigail. This felt there's a lot more pieces involved, and I could definitely tell that. So that's kind of how it's different. And you know, with Mars, like I said, I had, my life was changing, and I think that added a lot of weight to it. You know, it's really hard. When you're tired, not hard. It actually helped probably, but you're tired and you're on this high, and then you go and you're like, oh, now I have to somehow. Actually, during those scenes was probably the hardest hardest I've been on myself and hardest I've had to work at doing a performance in a lot of years, because there's just something in my brain that wasn't allowing it to go. Like, especially when you get to some stuff with where we talk about having to talk to the kids, my brain at that moment didn't want to go there, and Marci and I talked about it actually quite a bit. I was like, I don't, we'll see. And it was just more, yeah, it was tragic. I mean, this time, like the stabbing, I remember just going like, I gotta what? I gotta find her like that?
Yeah.
That morning we were talking about having a baby. I was just like,
yeah. It's the weight of so many things converging, of like you becoming a father. Ironically, this will air on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just this weight of parenthood that you don't know until you know.
Yeah. Weirdly, like I know it's not, but like in my mind, just because I root for Marci so much, you know, I think there's also like it feels final in our story of Chad and Abigail. You know, that may or may not be the case. I don't know, but in my mind, it's like, oh wow, this is sad. I'm almost grieving that if there ever is an Abigail, it might not be her. Or I might not, you know, who knows? So, that added a lot of weight to it as well. Just kind of feeling lost with like, oh, this one story thing that I've been doing for 8 years is now kind of ending, and what's my part? Like, what's my place in the show when I've kind of felt a little bit lost there. And then now it's even more like, oh, the one thing that was really tying me to the show is like, gone. It was a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. Like like I said earlier, Billy, your performances this past week were amazing, and like hearing now just what you were going through in life and having to come in and really bring out these performances is still a testament to your talent. But how did you get yourself there? Like how with so much going on and so much noise happening, like what did you do like as a performer and as an actor to get yourself to that point so that you really could pull out those performances?
I don't know. I found the stuff when like the bed scene when Marci shows up, when Abigail shows up, that stuff felt pretty easy. I'm a pretty emotional person as it is.
Yeah.
Stuff that was really hard was the manufacturing of the stuff, because sometimes the dialogue doesn't always support the story that you're trying to tell as the character. And like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. Marci probably knows my preparation more than I do. A lot of the times, I'm such an instinctual, probably actor that when it comes to this stuff, I find that if I premeditate any of the moments, that I'm gonna force it, and I'm not gonna be happy with it. So a lot of that stuff comes in, like the scene with Kate particularly. I was having a really hard day just connecting to that material, and a lot of the performance, I don't know, it sucks to like tell people behind the curtain, but like a lot of that's fear, and the stuff that I'm going through in the moment, that you just channel. You go, oh, this isn't different than what Chad's going through. I'm scared, I'm tired, I'm sad. So I just like, even like the rubbing of my, I felt that way. And then you say the words, and then eventually you drop into a moment, and it feels really authentic. And then you pop out of it, and you ride with that and don't question that. And that's just kind of how I played most of that storyline. And the preparation has already been done. Marci and I told years of Chad and Abigail's story. Like all that stuff is in my body. So when I'm saying, when I talk about my Abby or my wife, like that stuff's in my heart, and I mean what I say. It's not hard for me to do that. But the other stuff is really just a lot of like, anger and confusion, and like sometimes you find yourself going like, wait, what the fuck does this have to do with the story? And then you just use any of that. And try to just keep your ego out of the way.
Yeah. Well, like, you guys have been working together for, 6 years or a little over 6 years now. What are like your most fun moments? Like, what do you remember a scene that like you two just had like the most fun with, and it was fun, it was playful, and you just had such a great time, either in front or behind the camera with it?
I mean, more than not, more like probably more funny, goofy ones than not. Like, but there was, I think, the most recent one was the when she was abducted this last time, and I came in. What did I rush in to save you, and you're just sitting on the bed, like having a conversation with somebody?
Yeah, something like.
Oh, it was when you say Patch and Kayla are here. And I'm like, well, what are we waiting for? There's all these weird lines.
Yeah, that whole chapter, the whole like island chicken thing and whatnot. That was a
Yeah, that shit cracked me up. And like, yeah, there's just so many moments. There's like one-liners that maybe shouldn't be one-liners, but between her and I we'll say it, and then it'll be like, I'll have to look at it and I'll be like, don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We've had a few in this last go here where it was like we could not get through the take, like because we just couldn't get through like a line, and it's one of those things you get tickled, and oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the world to be looking at your buddy when you know like this thing cracks you up, because it's like they don't even have to do anything. I think at one point I like closed my eyes and just like I'm not even looking at you, dude. Like just do it.
It's okay. The internet will make it a meme for you.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Or it's the blooper reel.
When you've been like friends for this long, anytime there's like something intimate, it's like bro, move, like can you scoot over? You're on my fucking hair. So that kind of stuff can be super funny too.
Yeah. Are there any like scrapped Chabby storylines that you guys can now reveal that you're far enough removed from it now, or like maybe directions and storylines?
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
Yes, if there was any scrapped storylines.
Yeah, of Chabby, like or maybe a storyline was going to go this way and then they changed course and it went that way. That would be interesting.
I don't think so. I mean, you would kind of think, because I feel like the story's been kind of hit, like we'll come in and then we're gone, and and you'd think there'd be stuff that had been scrapped, but no, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything that you can, Marci, can you hear us? I know Marci can hear us.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some interference, I think.
Marci.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Like something,
man.
Like I'm literally hearing nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Did anybody hear me?
Wonderful
like our show with the internet. Yeah.
We can hear
like,
you.
I don't know, the sound just stopped.
Uh-oh. Hold on, let me see. Let me
Wonderful world of technology.
Does that help at all? Let's see.
Did somebody do anything differently?
Yeah. Try coming back in, like leaving out and then coming back in.
So leave and come back in?
Yes.
Oh, did you hear me? Oh, yeah. Well.
I think she heard that.
I'll take over. I'll hold the space.
Yeah, well, you always do, Billy.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for her to come back, Billy, what's been the most like difficult scene to like do throughout your time with Marci? There she is.
She's back.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, I just asked what was the most difficult scene that you guys have ever had together?
I don't know if there's ever been. I mean, I'm sure back in the day there were some difficult ones. She could probably attest to that more than I could. But
like logistically, even like what was the scene? I remember having a really hard time coming in when you and Gabby were locked in the freezer.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? And just the logistics coming in and having to like, you guys were both like had no clothes on.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like wrap you guys up and also just being new and also judging myself and all of that. Like I remember that whole thing was really weird and funky. But we I don't know. I feel like we get along pretty well and even when the scenes are heavy and emotional, like we're familiar enough with each other And sorry, she got like her vaccine today, so she's a little bucky right now.
Oh.
I know.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I just think like we trust each other and we're both kind of down for the ride, whatever it is. So whether things are heavy or light, it doesn't really change the approach to the work. We sort of have the same, we approach it similarly in terms of preparation and getting together and all of that.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like I think the hardest part of some of it was, when you're like work with somebody, you know how talented they are, like feeling like there was, I think the last couple of years, there was a lot of times where you almost feel like underutilized. You're like, I'm not sure really what story we're telling, like it's almost like they come in, we'd be in kind of 3 scenes that didn't really pertain. And I think as an actor, that's really hard, because then you're picking up, then you get a sort of a momentary, like, little meteor of a story that we get here and there. And you're like, I don't know where we are as a couple. So like her and I would just have to pick up. And that, I think that was the most difficult thing over the last, 3 or 4 years was just that was going like, when you're such a fan of somebody, the characters, you feel like you're both doing good work, and then you're like, but we're not really doing anything. We're just sort of exposition and passing other people's stuff around. I think that to me was really hard, because you're going like, I watched the stuff that we used to, watched her do when she first came on was just fucking killer, and then, then you're kind of doing like passing storylines, and I think there was a while where we weren't even really working together that much. So that was that was difficult for me.
Yeah. Justin, Araceli?
I think I just I'm such it's hard for me to talk about this, because it's really I hate this storyline. I really do. And I say that because for exactly the reasons that you're talking about, Billy, is that I love you both, and I love Chabby and dag nabbit, but then there is the thing in soaps that happy couples don't stay happy very long.
Well, happy couples shouldn't be murdered at some point.
Yes, that's true.
We'll take
am
a kidnapping. We'll take a breakup. We'll take a triangle.
Yes, But I'm a fan with open arms, and I have faith in the soap gods. They usually redeem themselves in a way they don't do in primetime.
Yeah.
Oh, fans have already figured out how Abigail can come back from the dead. Like they're like, she's not really dead. She'll pop up in a couple of years. Like it'll be fine. She'll pop up with a baby, and then we'll continue on. But at least if you leave it to fans to write it, that's how.
Yes.
This will truly go.
Can I ask, when you guys either get a new pairing or a new storyline, do you ever take like a deep dive into the fandom to see the reaction, or do you just have to keep that completely separate? And are you curious, or?
Go ahead.
I do occasionally when it's things like this. I have flipped through Twitter and Instagram here and there. Something like this, I do, but not all of them, I wouldn't say. The DID storyline, I paid attention a little bit. Just because it's nice to know. And we are somewhat powerless in terms of adjusting the storyline, but we can do what we can with subtext and interpretations and whatnot. So I try to be as aware as I can when it's big stuff like this.
Cool.
Yes, same. I think when it comes to new couplings, I think I have a pretty good sense of like if there's chemistry or not. Like I'll get a good sense of like I know already that if Chad moves on with somebody, it's gonna be met with critique. By Chad and Abigail fan base. I would hope that they would, given the story, that they would root for at least Chad to be happy if they were fans of Chad and Abigail. But when it comes to other like this, like where I'm at now, like I'm well aware that if I'm if I believe all the good stuff, like if I'm going to a storyline, I'm like, I want to see what people are saying. I'm well aware that if I believe the good stuff, that I have to believe the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you go through and you'll have people will be like, great performance, wonderful, and that stuff's really nice to read. And then you'll find like somebody that tags you that go, I don't know what everybody's talking about. I think his performance is really fucking horrible.
That's not me that wrote that. I promise.
Yeah, no, that's one of your burner accounts. I'm well aware. But I also go, okay, like, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
With either side of it? I think now I think I'm, you just kind of take it all, and I do know that there's I just wish fans wouldn't. I get like the ships and that kind of thing and rooting for one or the other, but like, soap world can be a hostile.
Soap Twitter is a rabbit hole.
And for that, I'm like, why you have your, I can understand, like, couples don't get written for, but that happens. Writers come in, writers come out. When the writer comes in, they have characters that they prefer to write for. They're going to push them, and other people aren't going to get pushed. It's like the part of the business, and it can get frustrating for us too.
Yeah.
But like she said, you're kind of powerless over it. The best you can do is tell your story. I think the one nod I would give to Marci and me, at least, I think we told happy story, where that is technically usually the death in soap opera. I think we did a pretty good job of that. And made it pretty entertaining. And for what little story we did have at times, I think that we did our best to keep fans engaged and rooting for them, like, which is really fucking hard to do, because you have to really find the moments you have to really be connected, and you have to really find the moments where you can go see this couple still has it.
Yeah.
And the writers don't need to see it, or the producers. It's just the people who are watching, and I think we did that, because Chad and Abigail haven't necessarily been a front burning couple for a long time, and people are pretty sad to see him go. So I think that's a testament.
Yeah.
But you two are connected. You're connected as actors, you're connected as characters, and I'll say you told a power couple story where, you look at the last decade of days and you say, who are the power couples of this last decade, and you're one of them.
Yeah. Chad and Abigail are definitely, part of the super couples on the show. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What, as things have like kind of wrapped up, and of course, I mean, it's wrapped up for Abigail and Chad, but not for Billy and Marci. Throughout working with each other, like, what have you all learned from each other that you utilize in life and performance? Just from working so closely with each other, like, what's something that you've learned from each other, or a few things that you've learned from each other that you'll utilize moving forward?
I mean, I've probably learned more from her than this idiot's probably given her.
Come on, man. No, Billy, I've always felt like you had a really unique ability. How do I say this? Because you prepare. You prepare, but your strength is like not in over preparation. You know what I mean? Like, you have a real ability to like pick up a piece of something, and the first time you see it, your instincts are so strong. You like see the story and bring really interesting things to it. So I know, especially when I was first starting, I was spending a lot of time on these things and like poring over it. And I remember you hearing like, you tell the story of Chad every day, and like over time you sort of like figured out who this man is. And so not overthinking it and like trusting yourself and kind of jumping in. And I think that's where a lot of your really cool like improv moments and stuff come in, where you're not questioning yourself. I mean, I feel like you are really excellent at like allowing the magic of the moment to really exist and take over, and not plan for it or fight what's happening or anything like that. You have a very free approach to this work, and it serves you very well. I think you're one of the most talented people I've ever worked with, and certainly on that show.
Aww.
Trying to cheer up.
Come on now.
You know, she makes a good latte. No.
Always a good skill when you're working at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Look, like I think with I mean, Marci's so many things, and I think like she's a real person. Everybody I likes her. You know, there's a she has a way of grounding you in making you kind of want to be a better person, like on set, and do better work. On top of just how talented she is, where it's like, I mean, there'd be scenes where when they were with her, I would do more, you know, like I wanted to surprise her, and I wanted to you know, I wanted to be a good, you know, tennis partner with her, if you will. We go back and forth, but I think like I think it's just an interesting thing, like to working with her changed the way I would ever prepare for a future thing, and that like as comfortable as I am working with her, and it is due to preparation and connection and understanding like who she is and who I am and the characters, and she kind of set a bar for what I know I need to do for any projects in the future, because I know what authenticity feels like because of her within a story, and anything less than that, now I know bullshit, and like that's not it. So she definitely raised the bar, and on top of that, listen, like I haven't been secretive with what I've gone through personally over the last few several years, and she saw before I got sober, and she's seen me after, and she was there during that whole period.
Yeah.
And a huge part of my early recovery and sobriety, and for that I'm forever grateful.
Yeah. And I think when we were at the studio at AfterBuzz, and you guys came in, and I think, and you shared with us, what was going on with you, Billy. I think for me, that was really a time where I looked at both of you and thought, wow, there's a true friendship here, and there's a true comfort level between these two, because, I felt there was a, should I share kind of moment, and remembering Marci kind of looking at you saying, like, without saying, like, I'm here, like we're in a safe space, like you can do that. And that said a lot, beyond like the acting part of it and everything like that. It said a lot about these two people and how they are outside of the show, and that they're not only there for each other with the show, but even outside of the show. And that for me was very special to see as well. So I've always enjoyed you two, like on the show, but also like just personally, just seeing this friendship that you guys have, and this care and this safe space that you guys have created for each other has always been great. So I appreciate that. Before we head out, because we don't want to lock you guys into this the Zoom thing, like you guys have things to do. Y'all are parents now, and I'm sure your kids need to be tended to.
Yeah.
But for you, Marci, you started June of 2016, and ironically, you're ending June of 2022.
Wow.
How would you sum up this experience, and what will you take away from this experience? I always ask these like Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey.
I love it. Yeah, no, this has been like one of the big things of my life in that it has brought me joy. It has certainly broken my heart. I've walked out the door feeling like $1,000,000 and feeling like I was 6 feet under. I mean, like, and not in relation to what my storyline was at the time, just like as a creative and a person that, wants to get better and wants to like continue to climb that ladder and everything. I've learned a lot. I've made relationships that I will never ever let go of. I mean, Billy's coming with me wherever I go. My brain is always churning create with him in mind creatively. Sal is a very special person. She's my daughter's godmother. I mean, some of the truest, realest, most important connections of my life have been made there, and I'm forever grateful for it. I'm no fool in that it's given me much more than a paycheck since June of 2016. But yeah, so I love it. It's always very bittersweet to walk out that door for the last.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we are heartbroken that we had to witness the death of Abigail. But if there was any wonder as to the performance from either one of you throughout the time on the show, it has always been amazing. It has always been incredible, and we've always appreciated your hard work and dedication, even when there was a lot of noise maybe going on in your life personally. There was always a stellar performance from you all, even when storylines were muddled and you're like, what is going on? And we were even like, what is going on? You still gave us, your true authentic self. So we will forever be grateful for that. So thank you.
Yeah. And she's going out on a high, guys. Daytime Emmy nominee right there.
I was just about to say, put some good juju out because my girl here is going to take home.
Yes. Fingers crossed for next week.
Or next week.
Listen, I am praying hard. I am like Titus and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I am doing all of this. And everyone can tell you like that a couple of years ago when you were nominated and you didn't get it. And I was like, that ain't it. So I'm like, this year is your year and you're gonna snatch the trophy.
Thanks, gang. Hey, I'm happy to be there regardless. That's for sure. So.
For sure. And of course, Billy, we still look forward to seeing like what's going to happen with Chad now that Abigail is gone. We're still rooting for you. Even
Yeah. Look, the journey is never like this. The journey is always like this. So, you gotta go through some little deep valleys to get to the high hill.
Yeah, remember, they're Damaris. All right, they rise from the ashes.
Yes, they do.
All the time and more often than not. Well, Marci and Billy, thank you guys so much for coming on and chatting with us. And Marci, we wish you all the best. And Billy, continued success. And we can't wait to see how everything unfolds.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I always love when they come on. This is always so special to see them. And so we greatly appreciate you guys tuning in today. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and _Dishin Days on the Twitter. And before we head out, Justin, where is the one social media platform that they can find you?
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And of course, Araceli.
You can find me on Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And of course, you guys can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you back here next week, where we'll give you a full dish of this week's episodes of NBC's #1 award-winning hit soap opera Days of Our Lives, and a little recap of what has happened on the Emmys. We're hoping for some wins. Yes. Have a great week, everyone. Happy Father's Day to you all, and we'll see you back next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.